the second example, we're going to look at rationalizing or dividing a square root. And the two rules to remember there is that you don't want to leave a square root on the bottom. So if it's divided out, you're going to see a integer on the bottom without any kind of square root. So to do that, you can multiply both the top and the bottom by the square root of whatever's on the bottom, because remembering that if you take the square root of b squared, that kind of just drops the squared and you're left with b. So the square root of b squared is just b. And also if you have the square root over an entire fraction, knowing that you can multiply, knowing that it's the same thing as the square root of a over the square root of b, and then again you can refer to rule 1 where you can multiply by the square root of b over square root of b. With that said, let's look at an example that combines multiplication from the previous example with what we're referring to here. So we're asked to multiply 4 square root of 5 times 2 square root of 15 over 2. So let's treat the top and the bottom like two separate multiplication problems first, similar to what we did in the first example. So we'll multiply the coefficients, 4 times 2, which is 8, and then multiply the radicand. In this case it's just square root of 15 because there's no radical over here, so it's going to be 8 square root of 15, not 18. And on the bottom you have square root of 5 times square root of 2, so you have the coefficient 2 and then the radicand square root of 5. Alright, so at this point we're going to do the process of rationalizing it, since we don't want to leave the square root of 5 on the bottom. So we're going to multiply both the top and the bottom by the square root of 5 over the square root of 5. And that's going to give us, on the top, it's going to give us 8 square root of 75. And on the bottom, it's going to give us 2, and then square root of 5 times square root of 5 is just 5, so 2 times 5, which is 8 square root of 75 over 10. And then let's try to break down the square root of 75. This is 5. We can make it 15 times 5, and 15 is 3 times 5, so you can take out a pair of 5s. That's going to multiply with the 8. So you're going to have 8 square root of 5, and then the 3 stays inside the square root, over 10, which is 40 square root of 3 over 10. And then if you look at the coefficient 40 over 10, just ignoring the square root of 3, 40 over 10 is just 4, so you end up with a final answer of 40 divided by 10 is 4, and then square root of 3, and that's your answer.